Hello there, welcome to me. Today we're going to be talking about what's the good thing about volunteering. You might have heard, and some of you might have been involved in volunteering. You are doing it, you're enjoying it. Some of us are volunteering unconsciously. We don't know it's volunteering. If you're a worker in your church or in your mosque or in your community, you are a volunteer, because what volunteering means is that you're not being paid, but you're giving back in one form or the other. So you might be an usher, you might be a worker in the church, you are volunteering. In fact, most of us, even in one capacity or the other, we are volunteering. But today I want us to talk about the good thing about volunteering. So we're motivating, engaging, and empowering ourselves in this. So there's a saying that the hand that gives is always on top. But it's not just about money. It's not about just giving money. Yes, if you can give money, if you're a giver of money, you will always, because your hand is on top. You're not a servant. In fact, you're actually an owner. But it's not just about money. It's also about time. It's about effort. Whatever you give to somebody shows that you are in charge. You are on top. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen automatically, but over time, with whatever you do, with whatever you give, it will show sooner or later. So volunteering is a good thing. Many of us from our communities, we don't appreciate it because of one reason or the other. Maybe we don't understand it. Maybe we feel, I'm saying this because I've met people that have said it's a waste of time. You're supposed to be making money. You're supposed to be earning. You're supposed to be going to school. But I tell you, volunteering is good. Why is it good? It gives you an opportunity not just to give up, but to build yourself. And you can be earning, you can actually be a worker, and you can be earning money, and you can also be giving back of your time. Look at the pandemic. Last year, the number of people, when they were on furlough, they just didn't stay at home. They wanted to keep themselves busy. They wanted to keep their minds active, and they wanted to give back. So they started volunteering. I want us to understand that this is a good skill to have. And I'm going to explain that as we go along in this video. But I want to emphasize this. Poverty-mindedness may be a challenge to many of us. Why do I say that? We are always thinking about, what can I get for me now? What about me? What I need? What's going to benefit me? And I'm here to tell you that volunteering will benefit you, but it might not be exactly the way you think it, but it will benefit you. But we need to challenge ourselves in our psyche, in our minds, and get rid of the fact that we feel poor. We are not poor, but we need to get rid of that poverty mentality that we're always thinking about what I can get, what I can eat, what I can drink. Let's think about giving back, because the more you give, the more you will get. Whatever you give is what will come back to you. So let's look at some of the benefits. It says to make connections with your community that can lead to work. So you might be somebody that needs a job, but you might not have the experience for that job. But the more you give to your community, you will network, and then you can get a job from there. I've had so many families that volunteer with me, and I have seen the results over the years. It might be in the creche or the earlier settings. It might be in a nursery. It might be, in a school. Once you're volunteering, it can lead to, because you're building up a skill, you get a reference, and you get a job. I give an example. One of my volunteers, who is now one of my directors, she met me when we were running events in a park in Southwark. And she said, "Oh, I'd like to volunteer with you." No, she didn't start with volunteer. She said, "I'd like to, promote myself. I want to start a creche. I want to have a nursery. How do I go about it?" I said, "You want to get into this borough, but I want to suggest to you, why don't you start volunteering your services and things like that?" She said, "Oh, I don't mind that." And then she started. She she will help in the creche. She will help when there are activities that in the children's center. She did that for a long time. Well, not a long time, but for a sufficient number of months. And then suddenly Ofsted happened in our children's center. And she did such a good job that she ended up, I gave her a reference, and she now got the service, she got her services, involved in other children's centers. As of that time, we had 21 children's centers in the borough, and she was able to supply creche workers herself to all 21 children's centers. That's an example of somebody that volunteers. I've had volunteers. Somebody has volunteered with me, and with food, and she did her exams, and then she got a job with in catering. So there are different angles, of getting a job, of your work or your giving that can lead to getting a job. It also shows potential employers that you have transferable skills. So you might have a skill in cleaning. You might have a skill in cooking. You might have a skill in sewing. But when you now want to get into a job and you go for your interview, you can have the confidence to tell that potential employer that this is what you've done and this is what you can use your skills for. So yes, it does show potential employers that, wow, she hasn't been sitting down on her own. She hasn't just been sitting down doing nothing. Yes, you have a skill, but what can that skill be transferred to do? Very important. And you can also learn new skills at the same time. So your transferable skills, yes. But what about your learning new skills? I've had a lot of people that have come to volunteer with me in the same way, saying, I want to change in my career. But for me to do that, I need to feel myself first. I need to know what I can do, what I can develop. And they started volunteering with me, and they're still doing their work on a part-time basis, but they now develop new skills. The skills of communication, skills of maybe technology, skills with digital. There are different aspects of it. So you develop new skills, teamwork skills, things that you've never had before. It's possible to develop those skills, but you can't do it just by going to a classroom and sitting down and talking about it. It's about doing. And then it keeps you busy and takes your mind off things that worry you. Wow, for me, that has been the most fantastic thing about what I do and working with parents. Most of the parents I have, they are volunteers, and they say, oh, I'm doing that. I don't have my papers sorted yet, but what can I do? And my children are young, and nobody wants to take me on in the charity shop. I said, okay, come on board. You can learn things. So when they come, they learn how to mix, they develop their social skills, they get to know other people, and it takes their minds off their own problems. I've met people that have been crying on the road, and when they come on board, they come back and say, thank you, because I didn't even think about that problem today because I was busy giving back. I was busy doing something valuable. There's something powerful about giving back, about serving. I want you to think about that. No matter the situation you're in, you might be even in a good place, you might be doing a good job, you might be doing a good service, but I tell you, volunteering is so powerful. Why do you think we have people that are pensioners that have finished work for a long time? They still want to give back. They're not saying that they've got their pot of money. They just want to do things. That is the most important thing that I feel we can offer to humanity, to offer to communities. There's a lot going on out there. There's a lot of challenges, but you can be part of the solution. So that is the good thing about volunteering. Like you must have been hearing me, one of the big things I do, I work with volunteers a lot. I train volunteers. I let people know their rights as a volunteer, because sometimes you go into places, they don't treat you right. We talk about that a lot in my courses. So if you want to come on board and you want to drop me a link, please do so. I'm Margaret Taribo from Distinct Family Services, working with my community with excellence. Thank you.